Woo! It's day one and the first update to the iPhone 6 challenge. It is currently 10:29 a.m. and the phone's battery is on 57%, although it did have an unexpected shutdown earlier and performance management has been applied, which is really annoying because it makes the phone really slow when the battery goes below like 20%. However, I can fix that and I probably will eventually, but at the moment it's not bothering me too much. I haven't had any issues with apps or anything like that. Everything seems to have been working completely fine. Haven't had any issues with just going into apps in general. Everything seems pretty smooth. So yeah, first update, everything's going good. So far, everything's going great, but I guess we'll see what happens when I take the phone out tomorrow, because I'm going out tomorrow, so I'm going to see how it does then. But for now, it's doing pretty good. Playing Forza Horizon 5 on Xbox game streaming, recording with the iPhone 6 right now. Just reporting in. It is currently 3:15 in the afternoon, and I have had no more unexpected shutdowns. Performance has been as you'd expect from an iPhone of this age. My dog saying hello, hello, say hello. He says hello. Yeah, so if I have any more updates, I'll give them, but pretty much as expected. Woo! Day 2 of the iPhone 6 challenge and two 5Ss. Got two 5Ss, both supposedly locked, but I need batteries, so I'm going to steal the batteries from these. But so far, having no issues with this. However, the battery does need to be changed because it dies at 40%, which is really annoying. So I'm going to be swapping that out later. But yeah, no complaints yet. Discord loads fine, WhatsApp loads fine, everything loads fine, unlike it did on that 5S I used last year. Last year on the 5S I used, it was buggy, it would crash all the time, and there would be significant delay between me typing and then it actually sending. So yeah, none of that on this one. I do miss Touch ID though. It's 2 o'clock and my phone is back on charge because it's already died. This too. Somehow day 2 is almost over and I haven't really missed my iPhone 7. Here's proof I'm still on the 6. Had to modify my case a bit. Currently watching a YouTube video about demo iPods. As you can see, it's not really struggling with that. It's running at 720p I think. Oh, 480. It looks alright though. It doesn't look horrible. So, yeah. Forgot to mention on this crack it sounds like this. Really annoying. Oh my gosh, it's day 3. We're almost halfway through the challenge and the phone has been brilliant. I've basically gone nowhere today, so I haven't had to charge it once. It's on 41%. It's done really well. But that's pretty much all there is to talk about today. My Apple Watch died and I forgot to charge it. So it's completely dead, annoyingly. Either way, see you guys tomorrow on day 4. Hello and welcome to day 4. We're pretty much more than halfway through the challenge now, and this is not the silver iPhone. Well, that's because yesterday I took this thing apart and shell swapped it and changed the battery, because the silver housing was slightly bent and this one isn't, and this is a original display. Unfortunately, I don't have the Touch ID button at the moment, but I shall work on that because I think Daniel has the Touch ID sensor for this particular phone. But yeah, the fact that everything works and the battery now lasts a decent amount of time. This one has 99% health. The only thing wrong with it is this little tiny chip up here, but otherwise everything is perfect. Oh look, I got a text from Mubin. Yeah, so today should go pretty smoothly because I charged this phone to 100% at overnight and I've been up since 6:30, so it's been about almost 5 hours now. And this phone is on 37%, so it's doing much better. I haven't had any performance management or throttling issues, and it's been a lot nicer to use. So yeah, if you're going to use an iPhone 6, I would definitely recommend changing the battery because it makes a hell of a difference. Hello and welcome to day 5 of the iPhone 6 challenge. So I have some thoughts, and they're probably going to be a bit different to what you guys might be expecting. It's been about 5 days, so I have a decent idea of what the phone's like in use day to day, and I'm going to answer the question. As of today, I think if you can get a good deal on the iPhone 6, I wouldn't recommend it. I don't think it's worth it in 2022, simply because there's much better options available for not much more money, such as the iPhone 6s or the iPhone SE, which are still currently supported on iOS 15. However, that won't be the case forever. I would recommend maybe saving up and buying an iPhone 8 instead of a 6 or a 6s, but maybe if you're coming from a flip phone or something like that, then maybe the iPhone 6 is a viable option, or maybe if you just want a cheap backup phone, because these can be scored for relatively cheaply, and they can be scored even cheaper if you know how to fix them. Personally, I used an iPhone 6 from 2017 till 2019, and that was pretty much the golden age of where this phone shone massively. It just ran a lot nicer, and obviously at the time you had the battery throttling, so I'd say a 99% health, good battery iPhone 6 probably performs similar to a battery throttling iPhone 6s in terms of performance, and the 1GB of RAM really does not help this device. It's really unfortunate that Apple left this thing with 1GB of RAM, because it could have lasted so much longer. It could have had iOS 13 or 14, and iOS 14 was a brilliant software update. And it's a shame that the iPhone 6 never got it, and it never got dark mode and stuff like that. It's missing a lot of features that you would want from a phone today. If you like this form factor, I would recommend either getting an iPhone 7 in 128 or 256 gigabytes, or getting a base model SE2 or SE3, as those will last a little bit longer. Obviously, the SE3 only came out this year, so you can still buy those new. But if you want a cheap 4.7-inch iPhone, I would have to recommend the 7 or the 8 over the 6, as the 6 just... it performs okay now, but the majority of these things you're going to find online are going to have older batteries. They're going to have scuffs. They're going to have cracks, a lot of them. And you have to bear in mind that in some places, you just can't find these phones for a decent price. So if you can find a decent 6... go for it. I say go for it if you can find one for like less than 50 quid, but I wouldn't recommend paying more than 50 quid for a 64GB model. I wouldn't recommend the 128GB models, as storage management on iOS 12 can be a bit weird. So yeah, that's pretty much it for day 5. I'll keep you updated if anything else happens. Hello and welcome to day 6, haha irony, of the iPhone 6 challenge, and today I have some findings. A few things, mainly involving the fact that I'm just starting to miss iOS 15 a bit. Dark mode, I miss it so much. I miss dark mode a lot. Essentially, this phone has a few issues, including bend gate and the fact that the aluminium scratches and dents really easily. This dent here happened this morning. I accidentally knocked it against a wall and it's dented in more than you can really... yeah, see, look, you can see 2 or 3 dents on the top. Normally you wouldn't see that. The aluminium on this enclosure is quite weak, and that's where you can basically bend it with your bare hands if you're strong enough. So yeah, I would avoid the 6 if you can, because touch disease, stuff like that. I never had touch disease, and I do think that they made an internal revision to the iPhone 6 where they made the housings a little bit stronger in like 2017, because they had a 2017 revision of these guys that shipped with a box with a picture on it rather than just the blank iPhone box. But I'm not actually sure how factual that is, but if that is the case, I do believe that this is one of those units that has slightly stronger aluminium, or at least the shell came from one, because the silver housing this phone was originally in bent super easily, but this one has been under the same conditions and has not bent. So yeah, the screen pops out a tiny bit. This screen doesn't seem to sit very flat because it was in a bent phone, so I think the screen panel may have bent a little bit, but yeah, you can see pressure marks around the perimeter of the display, so I do think that this phone has been bent in the past. Either way, that's not really relevant, but yeah, bend gate is a thing, so you might want to keep that in mind if you're considering a 6 series. Hello and welcome back to the iPhone 6 challenge. It is currently the final day of the iPhone 6 challenge, day 7, and I'm going to be putting my SIM card back into my iPhone 7 later. So what I found is, this is my final judgment on whether you should get an iPhone 6 or not. If you want one for collecting, if you want one for like a secondary phone, maybe, definitely. It's a good buy. You can find them for like 30, 40 quid now. And honestly, considering that I bought one in 2017 and used it for several years, I'd say they're pretty good value. They last a good long time. If you can find one with a new battery, then you're definitely covered. Yeah. However, I wouldn't really recommend using one as your main phone, as although it worked for me, it might not work for everyone. And yeah, it worked for me, but just barely. The iPhone 6 is pretty much my bare minimum. And obviously the iPhone 6 has had some signal issues for a few of the days. And I would just like to make sure you keep your mind on that, because the iPhone 6 may have some signal issues, which I didn't really know about. And obviously Bendgate and stuff like that. But I'm going to be saying goodbye to this phone later today. I'm going to be putting it back in the drawer. I'm going to be putting my SIM card back into the iPhone 7, which is going to be absolutely amazing. It's going to be refreshing to go back to that thing. It's going to be nice to have that back again. Speaking of getting things back, I got this boy back. This is my 2011 MacBook Pro, which I thought had graphics issues. Apparently not. The only thing really wrong with it is one of the RAM slots has died. And one of the RAM sticks died as well. So when I was swapping the RAM sticks round, it would come back to life for a bit, but then it'd die again. But it does seem to work. It's just installing macOS High Sierra right now, annoyingly, to a hard drive because I couldn't get my SSD to work. So yeah, I'm going to have two 15-inch MacBook Pros. But this is what my screen time has been like. I've charged up to like 100%. I haven't really had to do very much. 70% was 2 hours ago, so it's gone down 50% in 2 hours. But I was watching Netflix, YouTube. I have been using this phone quite heavily in the last 2 hours, and it does need to be charged like 2 or 3 times a day. But honestly, for most people, that's probably fine. Pretty much what screen time's like, pretty decent. So yeah, better than my iPhone 11 was. No more SIM. Oh, 02.